varies in different cultures. And so in courtship, you woo a woman with the intention to marry. In dating, you woo a woman to have a romantic relationship. Ooh, there was silence. You think it's the same? Anybody thinks it's the same? Raise your hand. Okay. There's a huge difference. But what do you mean, Happy? Like, there's no romance in courtship? There actually is, but there's an intention. The difference lies in the word intention. Intention to marry. Whereas in dating, it's just an intention to have a romantic relationship. And a lot of young people would like to go into a romantic relationship without any intention for marriage. More silence. Okay. And so there is a huge difference, young people, because intention brings a sense of security compared to just having a romantic relationship. Now let me give you an example. If I buy an iPhone, what's the latest iPhone? 6? Oh, no. I heard iPhone 6 is coming. But iPhone 5S. Okay, iPhone 5S. If I buy an iPhone 5S without an intention to keep it, I could just use it any way I want to. If I don't intend to keep it long, I could just use the phone any way I want to. If I need a hammer, I'll use it as a hammer. If I want what do you call that? Cutting board, I'll use it as a mini cutting board, okay? I'll use it whatever way I want to that would satisfy my needs because I have no intention of keeping it long. Are you getting this? And it's similar to dating because if there's no intention, what happens is it's need-based rather than purpose-based. It's need-based rather than intention-based. And where there is no purpose, there is no definition of use. How many of you have bought a product without a manual? Kijiji. But how many of you have heard of a factory or manufacturing company producing a product without a manual? They always have a manual for directions and how to use. Why? Because there is a purpose why that product was made. And without finding out the purpose, you could misuse the product. And misuse is abnormal use, which in shortcut is abuse. Abuse. Oh, that's where it comes from. So, in a relationship where there is no intention, intention meaning purpose, we end up misusing the relationship and abusing each other's emotions. And there was silence. Are you still happy you're here? I'm happy. Never changes. Okay? And so I want to make that clear. The difference between courtship and dating. Because I want to share with you that there is a commonality between the two, and that is that people enter both courtship or dating, or both, with the same expectation. And it's an expectation of love. That's why we called it tonight love, courtship, and dating. And the commonality with the two is that both parties enter into that stage of whether you call it dating or whether you prefer courtship, both expect love. Correct? I hope so. Okay? I hope everyone here intends to or expects that. The problem with it is that our expectation of love is honestly ambitious when we enter into these relationships, young people. And let me tell you why. Because the kind of love we seek in either courtship or in dating is unrealistic, expecting it from that person. I want to share with you my personal story. When I was 6 years old, from age 6 to 9 years old, I was sexually abused by my cousin. And because of that experience, I had vowed never to need any man. I made a personal vow at a young age that I will not let any man hurt me. Therefore, I will not be vulnerable to any man. I grew up very strong. I grew up very not happy. They made me happy when I was a baby, okay? But I did not like that nickname. By the way, I never used that nickname while growing up. And I lost my sense of worth because of that. Repeatedly, for 3 years, got sexually abused. And because of that, I always felt used by men. I could not even be left alone with my father without being afraid that my father would abuse me. Although my father never did. And my father loved me, my dad loved me, but I would always feel afraid being left alone with a man. And any man trying to just be friends with me since I was a kid, I was always suspicious whether this man's trying to use me. As a kid, I dealt with that. And so what happened was that nobody knew. By the way, I kept it as a secret, and I was very good at it. And the way I covered it up was I was a high achiever. I was achieving, always. Like, everything. You tell me to, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. I was very performance-based, just so I would have a sense of worth. If you tell me to dance, I'll dance. Don't tell me to dance now, okay? I couldn't match what they danced, what they did earlier, actually. You want me to somersault? I'll somersault to that. You want me to rap? I'll try. You want me to sing? Oh yeah, I love to sing. Nobody won't listen to me, okay? Whatever you want me to do, I can do it. Because I wanted to be an achiever so that no one would have a clue how dirty I felt inside. I felt, honestly, I felt like I was a rug just being used. And so I would dominate all the boys. Believe me, I was the smallest. Yeah, that's easy to believe. I was the smallest in my class, but everyone was scared of me because I would dominate. Why? Because I'm not gonna let anyone hurt me. And I built that pattern around me growing up. I'm not gonna let anyone, especially men, hurt me. So I made that, I built those walls around me for years. My parents only found out when I was 18 years old, after I went through a lot of inner healing. And so the love that I sought was a love that would take away rejection. Because when you're abused, and I'm telling you, it doesn't take a sexual abuse to feel abused. Does it take neglect, rejection, kinda already feels like abuse. And rejection produces insecurity. Rejection produces a sense of worthlessness. Where is my worth? And because worth is established in love, then you translate that need for worth into a need for love. Everybody's silent. Are you getting this? Everybody translates that need for value into a need for love. And so we hop from one relationship to another just so that we would feel loved. Why? Because love establishes value. Is that correct? Right? Love establishes value. So we hop from one relationship to another, looking for that love that will take away that sense of rejection that is always eating up inside you. And when I say this, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about fury. I've been there. And so I would seek it from friends. I would seek it. I would so seek it and never find it enough. Because of that abuse, I was addicted to pornography early on at 3rd grade. And mind you, at that time there's no internet, okay? So I was very resourceful at that time as a girl. And the more I got addicted to it, the more I felt dirty about myself, and the more I felt I had no worth. It was an evil cycle. And so I would keep on seeking for love, and I know many young people can relate with this. Always seeking for love, but then we expect it from people who also feel abused, rejected, and hurting. And that's why I say it's ambitious. It's ambitious. Rejection produces a sense of worthlessness, and it's the breeding ground for fear. But yet, the kind of love we seek is one that never rejects. We want to be loved in a way that would never reject us. So we enter into relationships hoping this is it, and yet living constantly with that fear that one day I'm going to be rejected. And I'm sure it's not just the women who can relate with this. Correct? Okay. It's awkward silence. But I hope it's a good kind of silence. I hope it's a sobering kind of silence. And so we enter into relationships with a constant fear of rejection and abandonment, and that feeling that I'm never going to be good enough to be sure that this person will love me forever. And so it is very unrealistic. It's the expectation that we put on the other person is unrealistic, but not only is it unrealistic, it's unfair. Because you could never give what you don't have. You could never give what you don't have. At the same time, rejection does not enable you. It disables you to receive love. When we first got married, although I had already gone through inner healing, when we first got married, how many times Pastor Knapp, did a lot of things to prove that he loved me, and I would never believe him. I would never believe him. And it was always the root of our issues back when we first got married. And it was always the root of issues because any small thing that would show a hint of rejection, I would immediately explode and accuse him of not loving me. Why? It's not because he didn't really love me. It's because my heart was not really healed. And so young people, what I want to share with you tonight is very simple. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but I trust God is working in your hearts as I talk tonight. What I want to share with you is that when you enter into a relationship, I would highly suggest that you enter it cautiously with intention. And number 2 is that more than your financial capacity, it's, most of us think, as long as I have a job, I can go into a relationship. Well, some don't even think that way, okay? And so, more than a financial capacity, more than your mental capacity, what the most crucial element in a relationship is your heart. It's your heart, young people. It's not how you look. It's not the shoes you wear. It's not the hairstyle you have. It's not how you dress. It's not the degree that you gained from university. It's not the title of your career. It's your heart. You could be so rich, and yet your heart will. The Bible says in Proverbs 4:23, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring all the issues of life. How true. You could be the smartest person, but if your heart is badly bruised, you will bruise any relationship you enter into. And so I want you to know that there is a way. There is a way out of that, because I've been there. And I've been there. And so what happened to me was that I'm going to share this with you. What happened to me is that I encountered a real kind of love that I could not find from anyone. I encountered a real, and when I talk about this,